Hello, my name's David Foxen and welcome to the process of the month from the SAM Charter. This month we're talking about the software reharvesting process. I personally feel that this is one of the most important processes any SAM function can try and implement. So the agenda of this video, we will talk about the primary and secondary objectives of the reharvest process. We'll actually run through a best practice process created by the SAM Charter. We'll look at potential banana skins and gotchas and slip-ups and ways in which that you may not be able to actually fully implement and follow this process. We'll obviously say thank you to our sponsors, and we'll also explain to you the next process coming up next month. So, the primary objective of the software reharvesting process is to ensure that only software used within a 90-day period remains on the IT estate. So basically, what that saying is that you want to optimize your software assets that are installed on your network. So if they're not being used within 90 days, they shall be removed and reused elsewhere, hence the software reharvesting process name. Secondary objective is to ensure that quality assurance checks take place to ensure the process has been successful. Every SAM process needs to have some sort of validation, some sort of review, some sort of check to ensure that it is still relevant and still accurate. And finally, when appropriate, management approval takes place for the removal of software if the software has a specialist status or is a key part or figure within the IT organization. So, the software reharvesting process, it kicks off really from the license compliance process. So you've reviewed your estate and you understand that there are a number of applications that are not being currently used. So first of all, the audit data will be filtered upon use. I mean, you can do this through a SAM solution or an inventory tool that has usage figures, and you can clearly identify which applications have not been used at all or within the last 90 days. It is then important to produce an unused software list. So gather all of the information you have, all of the versions, the user and the hardware asset that's installed on, and compile a really comprehensive and accurate list. Now, this can go either two ways. The software can either be automatically removed or scheduled to be automatically removed based on whatever kind of process the internal organization has and whatever approval they have for the number of days that a software hasn't been used. So in this case, 90 days. This will automatically be removed from the unused software list that we've already generated, and this involves the app's packaging team, so the guys that create the packages, the install and uninstall packages for software. Or, depending on the type of software, whether it's a specialist application or a core application, it may have to go to management approval for removal. The management then will see the unused software list and they will make a judgment on whether they approve or reject the removal of the application from the user's machines. Now, this can go either, again, one of two ways. Either they're going to reject the request and therefore it is best practice to create a software keep list. This is where the SAM team know not to remove an application from a certain machine, even if it hasn't been used, or it goes into the software approval list for removal. Now, once the software has been identified that it will be removed, it then goes into the schedule of software removal and the unused software list into the actual process of removing the software from the app's packaging teams. Once the software has been removed, it is then important that the removals have been verified and that the SAM and apps packaging team identify that all of the registry keys and information the installers have been successfully removed from the machine. So any future looks at the usage should show that there is no existence of that application installed on the device anymore. The returned approval lists or keep lists, they should go back to the SAM team. And then obviously if the software is there for removal, it should go to the remove unused software stream. Or if it's for the software keep list, then no further action at this stage is required. Now, the apps packaging team play a really important part in this, and they need to be the ones that are advised or based on accurate data which machines and which software should be removed from a machine. Obviously, as we've said before, there are going to be exceptions to this rule, and there are going to be software or users that are going to keep the application on their machine. Well, therefore, you're just going to have to re-go through this cycle maybe in the future again if circumstances change, which, as we will explain, is why processes need to be reviewed on a constant basis. So the next stage is to reschedule the removal of software if the software hasn't been removed successfully for whatever reason. This may be the machine wasn't switched on or wasn't connected to the network. I mean, there are a whole host of reasons as to why software doesn't automatically get removed by the apps packaging team. But it's a simple revision of when to do it again and to reschedule it or automatically uninstall it for a time when the machine is on. When the software has successfully been removed, it is then important to provide a report to the SAM manager so that they can then refresh the license pool. Now, the license pool is a pool of licenses that are free, that aren't being used. And it's also a good chance to provide updated compliancy figures and show senior management how much money you have cost avoided or how much you've actually saved through the software reharvesting process. Because at the end of the day, the reharvesting process is a fantastic tool for the SAM team to show its importance to the senior management, and it's one of my favourite processes. So, all sounds great, and this is a best practice guide, but what can go wrong? First of all, the process is not consistently run. This is one of the biggest problems within most organisations, is that this activity may only happen once a year, when it needs to be a consistent figure of any SAM team. The reports are generated, but the software isn't removed. This could be due to a lack of communication between the SAM team and the apps packaging team, or it could just be the fact that the SAM team are not monitoring whether software is actually being actively removed. There needs to be a nice symmetry between the SAM team and the apps packaging team to ensure that everything runs smoothly. A really big banana skin that I've experienced in the past is that you are about to remove a piece of software. The user is aware of that, but they go and run the software on day 89 just to make sure that it isn't automatically removed, so it's kept on their system. Obviously, this is not best practice. This is not the best way to optimize your license. So there are, some friendly, what the phrase is, water cooler chat with the member of staff just to inform them of why you are doing this process. The lack of respect shown to the technology stack, so that, whether people actually believe in the data that the SAM team are getting to understand whether to remove the software or not, that's a big issue. And finally, a big thank you. The SAM Charter would like to say a big thank you to all of the sponsors. As you can see, there are an awful lot of them, and we wouldn't be able to do this process without you guys, so thank you. For more information, and if you'd like to purchase the SAM Charter Process Kit version 2, which I highly recommend, there is a link on the screen now for you to go and do that. Coming up next month on the SAM Charter is the Software Change Management Process, another really important SAM process that should be implemented within any SAM function. If you'd like to contact Rory, who is the author of all of these processes and the owner of the SAM Charter, you can email him at rory.canavan@samcharter.com. You can also follow Rory on Twitter at StoryByRory. Highly recommended that you follow him. He posts an awful lot of interesting SAM related tweets, and obviously you can connect with him on LinkedIn.